Hello, my friends. What a beautiful day and an amazing day it is to not have the mic muted. It's great to see you. As per usual, we're waiting for those tubes to fire up all across the fruited plain of the interwebs. Before we get into business, we got some hot off the press news today that we're excited about. Been waiting for this one, and it is here. But before we jump into it, we got to make sure we're connected, and it looks like we are. Hello, my beautiful friends. What an incredible day it is. Some fresh out of the oven business to attend to. Check it out. Hot out of the oven. President Trump announces that he is thrilled to announce RFK Jr. as the United States Secretary of Health and Human Services. Let's go. We're going to be so healthy. We're going to be winning, and we're going to be healthing. Our biceps are going to be so big here. I can't wait for it. So for too long, says the president, Americans have been crushed by the industrial food complex and drug companies who have engaged in deception, misinformation, and disinformation when it comes to public health. The safety and health of all Americans is the most important role of any administration, and Health and Human Services will play a big role in helping ensure that everybody will be protected from harmful chemicals, pollutants, pesticides, pharmaceutical products, and food additives that have contributed to the overwhelming health crisis in this country. Mr. Kennedy will restore these agencies to the traditions of gold standard scientific research and beacons of transparency to end the chronic disease epidemic and to make America great and healthy again. Woo! It's going to be fun, my friends. This is tremendous news. Health and Human Services is a monstrous agency, gigantic, and they're responsible for a lot of the declining health situation that is in America. And so this is just great news. Been waiting for it. We're going to keep our eye on it. We'll come back. We'll have a full segment on it because I think the stocks are tanking. And my understanding is a lot of people are going to be having comments on this. So we'll aggregate everything. This is fresh out of the oven, but we'll come back on this. But I wanted to bring it to your attention today. So amazing news. And this plays into what we were talking about earlier. We've got some more Matt Gaetz reaction coming up. But Matt Gaetz, of course, is going to have a fight for his confirmation. And now that Matt Gaetz is the shiny object, as we talked about yesterday, the red herring, the very spicy nominee, RFK Jr. is going to look like just a regular bland old milquetoast candidate. And in fact, he might also get some Democrats voting for him. How can you be a Democrat and vote against the nomination of RFK Jr. in some blue spots? So I think that of any of Trump's nominees, this might be the most likely to get through. And that's just tremendous news because we really do have a serious health problem in America. So let me give you a preview of what we're talking about today. Then we'll get to it. We've got J6 news. Great news for our friend Free State Will over on X. His case on the J6 trial docket has been continued. Tremendous news over there, but he's not alone. We've also got other J6ers who are scoring major victories in the DC circuit. The judge is saying, well, if Trump's going to come in here and pardon everybody, we don't need to have these trials and waste judicial resources. Meanwhile, our corrupt DOJ, who is still in existence, just arrested this guy. Antoine Williams, former NFL guy, got arrested for an insurrection, invading the Capitol 4 years ago. They just arrested him, and they filed this complaint after the election was already over. So the DOJ and the FBI are still rounding up J6ers. We'll take a quick look at what they charged him with, but they're not letting up. They're not letting go easy. And so we're keeping a list here. We're keeping a list of names, obviously. That's why we're going to cover this stuff. We've also got more reaction from Matt Gaetz. So the resignation was official today. He'll be the new incoming Attorney General. We'll read through and listen through what happened there and then understand what's coming next, because as part of any nomination process, there's an investigation. The Senate Judiciary Committee is going to be digging into Matt Gaetz, and they have now, the Democrats have requested that House Ethics Committee report to be delivered to them. So that is going to be coming out soon. And we were contemplating what that meant yesterday and this morning on our members only stream. We've also got this goof, Andy McCabe, who in my opinion, is a criminal, is out now talking that he's upset that Matt Gaetz is going to be the attorney general. We've got others like Cornyn reacting and more from Costa before we hear from John Barrasso, who's the number 2 in the Senate, to give us his take on whether Matt Gaetz will be confirmed or not. Then we're going to turn our attention to the FBI, which is now busted again in another lie. Remember, we were talking about the January 6th case, and more specifically, the pipe bomber that they never found, and they gave us those video recordings that were recorded with a potato at 1 frame per second. Like, couldn't find the guy. They told us that the cell phone data was corrupted when they got it. It's like, well, could you just triangulate this dude and figure out where he was from all your high tech? You gobbled up everybody else there. What happened to the pipe bomber? Like, no, data was corrupted. Yeah, right. Nobody believed that from the beginning. And now a congressman is saying they're liars. Big surprise. So we'll go through that. Darren Beatty, who's been doing great work on this, has a take on what that means. We'll read through the letter that was sent back over in October of this year to Christopher Wray, asking him about this corrupted cell phone data. And of course, the CISA department, in conjunction with the FBI, they've come out and they have said that China is in the tubes. And this is not a good one. You read this, you go, this is all you're going to give us on this? You're going to give us like 3 paragraphs, barely, like 6 sentences here. China is in the tubes. And they just put a little blurb out like, hey, if I have a security problem, let us know. If you have any issues, just contact your local FBI agent. We also then have updates from Fannyland because the noxious odor remains, not going away easily. You're going to have to wash that thing several times. And here you can see Fani got reelected. So the people of Fulton County, they want one thing. It's more Big Fani. They can't let it go. So she's back in town. She said in an interview that she's going to continue to prosecute Trump. She doesn't care who you are. She's the biggest Fani in town, and she'll be coming after you even if you're reelected as president. But what's problematic for Fani is that the Justice Department just came out, and this is such a scam. November 14th, they dropped this out, the Justice Department. They find conditions at the Fulton County Jail in Georgia, in Fannyland, violates the Constitution and federal law. What? Wouldn't that be nice if the Justice Department published that before the election so that the people of Georgia in Fulton could have voted accordingly? So it seems to me like the law enforcement agencies, of which Fani is a part of, yeah, she's not responsible for the jails, right? The jails have their own administration, the Bureau of the Jails in Georgia, whatever those are. Then we also are going to have the sheriff, right, and the law enforcement agencies. But she is the county attorney. She's the prosecutor. If there's violations of federal law and the Constitution in her jails and she's allowing that to happen, well, what the heck is she doing? Maybe she's complicit in a conspiracy to enable ongoing violations of people's constitutional rights. Maybe she should be indicted under RICO charges. Just an idea. But this is a 105-page report. We'll hit the highlights of it. Investigation of the Fulton County Jail. And you can see she's sending people into these jails. She's prosecuting people. She wants to send them right into this jail. And it's a disaster. So we're going to say she's complicit in this. And there's photographs of how bad things have gotten and what the situation looks like in the jails. So sheriffs are under scrutiny. The Board of Commissioners under scrutiny. Fulton County is a disaster. Fani Willis is still prosecuting people like Young Thug and others and sending them to these jails unnecessarily while people are dropping dead from bed bugs and other infestations. So it's disgusting. Fani Willis, apparently the noxious odor is not just in her office, it's also in the Fulton County jails. And then we'll listen to her and see what she says about all of that. So drama in Fannyland. We're excited to get to it, my friends. Very grateful that you're here and with us. It's a beautiful Thursday. We know what that means. Tomorrow is a Friday. It's going to be a beautiful Friday. And we're excited to be back here tomorrow with you there. Thank you for subscribing and liking this video wherever it is you're watching it. Before we jump into the business on the day, you know what we got to do? Get prepared, because we got to face it, man. There's a lot of new respiratory illnesses. They're spreading faster all over the place. Whether we've got pandemics that are in Wuhan or natural or whatever, when they hit, we get overwhelmed and it's not good. Now, over the past 4 years, we've seen a disaster. Fortunately, that's going to be coming to a change soon, but we can't trust the government. We've got to take this into our own hands. That's why we've got the Wellness Company, and they've got a contagion emergency kit that is an absolute necessity to make sure that you're protected. It's got meds in there like Z-Paks, budesonide, nebulizers, and so you can just have it delivered right to your home. Just a few clicks. It's created by the Wellness Company's medical board. There's got instruction manuals and everything that you're going to need. And so when we're in uncertain times, it's good to be prepared. Go to twc.health/Robert, twc.health/Robert. Use code Robert. You're going to save $30 off and you'll get free shipping. Links are in the description below. And thanks for getting prepared and supporting the Wellness Company, who's supporting and sponsoring this episode. All right, so now, my friends, we've got RFK, we've got Matt Gaetz, we've got Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Vivek. It's going to be a beautiful day in America, and it's a beautiful day for our friends who have been victims of this, including for our friend Free State Will. Victory for the J6ers. We see our friend Free State Will on X, who's been the victim of the politicized, weaponized DOJ, has had success in filing a motion to continue his trial. We covered his motion earlier. He was also joined by Steve Baker, another individual who's been doing great investigatory work into the J6 charade. Both of those gentlemen filed motions to continue their trials, saying, hey, Trump won. He's promised to pardon or commute the sentences of the J6ers, so we don't need to go through unnecessary trials, impanel juries, go through days and days of this stuff in order for him to just commute these sentences or to pardon us in the aftermath. So the motion to continue was filed. Free State Will is reporting this to us, telling us, Judge Contreras has granted my motion to continue my trial because he agreed a long trial was not a good use of judicial resources. Considering the likelihood of the J6 charges to be dropped, no new date has been set. We'll have a status hearing in 30 days in December. Unfortunately, he tells us, the prosecutor's facial expressions won't make it into the court transcript. Oh! Prosecutors were pouting over there at their table. Wow. What a bunch of babies. Congratulations to Free State Will. And he chalks it all up to God. All praise be to God. Now, Politico is reporting on some details on what happened inside the hearing. They say a judge postpones J6 trials as Trump is coming in. And this is the first time federal judges have acquiesced to the demands of J6 defendants. We're changing the structure, baby. 2 federal judges agreed on Thursday to postpone criminal trials over the objection of the Justice Department. Judges Carl Nichols and Rudolph Contreras, Trump and Obama appointees respectively, said they wanted to conserve court resources and avoid hauling in dozens of jurors for cases that might be called off in a few weeks. It's the first time that they've acquiesced to demands. These are reasonable requests, demands. Yeah, the J6ers are insurrecting the courts again with their demands. They're demanding this judge. It's a legal request based on the change in circumstance. Calm down. There's a real possibility of that happening, said Judge Contreras. He granted the motion by William Pope, which is Free State Will. Pope, who's representing himself and who's been doing an awesome job, had been slated to go on trial in December on misdemeanor charges. His other charge, he already got dismissed after the SCOTUS decision. Instead, Contreras is eyeing trial dates in late February. Bump it out. See what the DOJ does. Nichols similarly declined to set an imminent trial date for 3 J6 defendants, also charged with misdemeanors. Without prompting, the judge asked the prosecutors whether they expected the trial would go on, even after Trump took over the DOJ. Do you guys think that he'll continue to prosecute these prosecutors? They're sitting there going, fuming out of the ears, like, Wile E. Coyote. When the prosecutor in the case could not confirm either way, well, Your Honor, we don't really know. The judge opted to set an April. Okay, well, how about we just push it to April? Then we'll figure it out then. And postpone all other deadlines, allowing time for the DOJ to recalibrate. Wow. It's happening fast, man. I love it. As soon as the prosecutors asked for a trial date, Judge Nichols confronted her on whether she could assure the court would take this matter to trial once the new administration takes office, says Marina Medvin. What's up, Marina? Shout out. An attorney for two of the defendants in Nichols' courtroom. Of course, she says, the prosecutor could make no such assurances. Other judges on the federal bench had declined to go as far as this. Instead, they've described defendants' requests for pardons as speculative. Now, you don't know that you're going to get it. And they said the courts can't operate on a potential for a pardon. So whatever the president-elect may or may not do, said some other judges, with respect to some of these, is irrelevant, said another judge, who's an Obama appointee. He wrote, right, so other J6ers are getting treated differently again, another double standard percolating in the D.C. circuit. Contreras, the judge, acknowledged those decisions, but said none of them were made in cases that were about to go to jury trials. Jury trials is a big deal. He says, I'm focused on conservation of the resources. Another U.S. attorney for the DOJ pushed back. He says, Your Honor, what? A bunch of other judges maintain their trial schedules, even though Trump won. And we're going to put on efficient cases, okay? So we're just going to go quickly, and we're going to have these trials quickly. So just let us have the trial. The judge says, pipe down. I'm not reconsidering. Incredible. So congratulations to Free State Will and Baker and the others who've had their cases continued. Unfortunately, the FBI and the DOJ, because they're maniacs, even though there should be a friendly pause, okay? Trump won. Yes, you can continue to play the game and go hard and try to be sore losers and get as many meaningless points on the board that are not going to matter and waste everybody's time and resources and waste this guy's freedom and much more. They're going to continue to arrest people because they're partisan hacks and they don't know how to even play fair. So here's what Kyle Chaney reported, said this guy got arrested too. His name is Antoine Williams. He was Detroit Lions 5th round draft pick and apparently he got arrested now. So you can see FBI, and I wanted to just share this with you so we can see that this was filed on November 7th, 2024. And this document is very secure. It's an FBI document, so I can't even red pen it. But they tell us he just got arrested. 11-7 complaint warrant arrest form, all filed after the fact. Says the Capitol secured. It's a J6, right? They're still arresting people. After the election, still arresting this guy. So they identified him, Antoine Williams. The FBI began posting. 4 years later, they're still arresting people. You dorks, you lost the election, morons. So here he is. There he is. Image from his Instagram post. Wow, look at these FBI agents. They identified his keys. Congratulations. Playing Where's Waldo again. Remember, we played that for years here. Where's Waldo? FBI agents sitting around on their computers, matching images like you're at the doctor's office. When I was a kid, they used to have those photos, and you say, find the flute in the trees. That's what they're doing, FBI agents. So here, his keys. Oh my gosh, his keys, they got him. He's busted. So he's there. They went through this. You have to understand these FBI agents, okay? So this guy, whoever wrote this, Federal Bureau of Investigation, whoever he is, Eurofiant, whoever, Loserville, right here, whatever that name is, Mrs. Loserville, probably, worked really hard on this. They spent so much time writing this. She was taking screenshots. She had so many photographs. She completed this. She had a whole whiteboard up there, was connecting the dots. And now Trump won. And so she's not going to get to turn in her homework. And so she finished really quickly and drafted everything. She said, this guy was at the front of the line. He pushed a cop somewhere sometime, right there, I guess. He pushed a cop struggling against the officers as they were shooting people in the face with projectiles. And apparently he needed to get arrested. So they arrested him. All of this was signed over the phone on November 7th. Okay, so the same judge, Makshila Upadhyay, is the judge who signed off on the arrest warrant for Antoine Williams. Detroit Lions, 4 years later, after the election is over. They're trying to put points on the board. The game is over, you losers. It's like everybody's finished bowling, okay? We're all in the other room about to leave. You're still there throwing strikes. The game's over. Nobody cares. You got vetoed. on this. Go home. You're done. Losers. All right. So, and because your name's redacted doesn't mean that you're not going to be part of a review of whether this conduct is appropriate or not. So we're looking forward to that. Now, the person who's going to be in charge is going to be Attorney General Matt Gaetz. We're excited to see that happen, provided he gets confirmed. And why wouldn't he? Senators better get on board. But Matt Gaetz has now resigned from the House of Representatives. And here is what that sounded like today as this transition continues ahead.
Under Clause 5D of Rule 20, the chair announces to the House that in light of the resignation of the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Gaetz, the whole number of the House is 433.
Matt Gaetz is now out, and we'll see where it goes. But I also wanted to flag for us that Jack Smith, in addition to the DOJ arresting new J6ers, we've also got Jack Smith, who is delaying or actually asking the Court of Appeals in the Florida classified documents case. Remember, Jack Smith had his entire case dismissed because he's not a real boy, completely illegitimate, never lawfully appointed. We know the DOJ knows how to appoint special counsels because they appointed David Weiss to handle the U.S. He was a U.S. attorney who was appointed legitimately to handle the Hunter Biden case. But they couldn't do that in this case because they needed Jack Smith, a hatchet man, to do the dirty work of Biden and Harris and the Democrats. But now, since Jack is going to be resigning and running away like a scared baby, he has asked the 11th Circuit to hold his appeal. The case was dismissed. He obviously does not want that to be dismissed or didn't want it to be dismissed. Now that Trump has won, he is thinking twice. He is sending this in, very short filing, saying, all right, Court of Appeals, as a result of the election held on November 5th, one of the defendants in this case, called the president-elect punk, Donald J. Trump, is expected to be certified as president-elect on J6 and inaugurated on January 20th. President-elect defendant. Get it right. The government respectfully requests that the court hold this appeal in abeyance. Basically just put it on pause, like put it on the back burner, just set it aside, and stay the deadline in the government's reply brief. Pause everything, which is currently due on November 15th. Hold it off until December 2nd to afford the government to assess, again, these losers, this unprecedented circumstance, morons. It was precedented for years. Trump has been running for years. You prosecuted him and set it so that the trial would happen in an election year. You created the circumstance, James, Jack, Molly. To determine the appropriate course going forward consistent with the DOJ policy, which is not to prosecute a president, and he's transitioning now into the president-elect, and he is the president-elect, but in the process, he's got powers. If the court grants the abeyance and pauses this, the government will inform the court of the result of its deliberations and, if appropriate, file its reply brief no later than December 2nd. The government has consulted with Trump, with counsel for the defendants, president-elect defendant, who do not object to this request. James Pierce for Jack Smith's office signing that off, and I'm sure the court will grant it. And you can see why they don't want a decision on this. Trump won. It actually might be a benefit to Trump. Right now, Trump can use their same garbage powers against them in his administration and appoint whomever he wants to do whatever the hell they want. Nobody can say anything about it. At least from the Democratic side. Maybe wouldn't bring those claims in Florida. But all right, that's a kind of a jokey point, but it's an interesting idea. Anyway, so this guy, Antoine, got arrested. Matt Gaetz is going to come in and be in charge. But in the meantime, the Democrats are pounding the table over this ethics report. And we were contemplating this. There was a thesis out there that Matt Gaetz was resigning rapidly. Why did he resign so quickly? Is it so that he doesn't have to face the music on this ethics report? They lose jurisdiction over him since he's not in the House of Representatives anymore? And then the report will never come out? that's what some people were saying, but I never bought that because there's obviously going to be an investigation, right? He's going to be dragged into Congress. They're going to ask him questions about it. So Democrats are going to be hitting him over the head with this, whether or not the official report is released through that House panel. They're still demanding it. Right now, you can see even the Senate is demanding a copy of it. So Dick Durbin is urging the House Ethics Committee to preserve and share its report. After Trump announced the nomination, Durbin called on the committee to share the report. They say the sequence and the timing of the resignation raises concerns. We cannot allow this valuable information to not be public. Make no mistake, the information could be relevant to his confirmation, said Durbin. And so the Democrats are circling up to prevent it from happening. And they're not alone. In fact, even John Cornyn says, oh, there might be some questions about this. A Republican senator who was in the running to be the leader.
Be talking about recess
on the issue of vetting, though, how critical is it then to have access to what the House Ethics Committee has found in their investigation?
I think there should not be any limitation on the Senate Judiciary Committee's investigation, including whatever the House Ethics Committee has generated.
So you want to see it?
Absolutely.
Tulsi.
All right, so they all want to see the report, and that might be their justification for not voting for him. Of course, we'll see. Robert Costa is a person who reports for CBS. He says, what I'm hearing privately from a few key GOP senators, yes, they'd prefer not to have a messy fight over Gaetz. That's good. Not their favorite, but they also don't have a lot of energy for pushing back. Trump runs the show, they say. If Gaetz can reassure them, they're open to backing him. So we'll see if that holds true. We sure hope it does, because Trump did have a mandate, and this is his pick. So get on board. Now, one person who's very unhappy about this is Andy McCabe. Andy McCabe was part of the corrupt FBI and responsible for Crossfire Hurricane and the Russia collusion stuff. He was at the top at that moment and ended up leaving the FBI. I think he sued them. They paid him a bunch of money because it's a big incestuous, disgusting cesspool there. And he's very nervous about Matt Gaetz, which means Matt Gaetz is going to be great.
I want to start with Matt Gaetz, who is potentially on track here to lead the agency that includes the FBI, where you spent so much of your professional life. What are the implications of having Matt Gaetz as Attorney General?
Good morning, Casey. There's so many things that kind of jump out to you when you hear that the prospect of that nomination. But I think the first thing that really impresses me is what it says about Donald Trump's intention for the Justice Department and the FBI.
What do you think it means?
Matt Gaetz is obviously wholly unqualified for this job. He's someone who, I mean, quite frankly, couldn't get hired by the FBI if he was, had he ever been interested in that, which I'm sure he never was.
He's too good for the FBI. You guys hire corrupt political Democrat scumbags like yourself.
Probably couldn't qualify for a clearance. Matt Gaetz has, by his own statements.
You think Joe Biden could be hired by the FBI?
Some of those you just played. No interest in the FBI or the Department of Justice. No respect for the work that they do or for the people that do that work. He is singularly a disruptor. He is someone who's been selected because of his interest and desire to go into the organization and tear things apart.
Yes, you nailed it. All right, you're right. You nailed it.
You know, likely get rid of people, stop doing a lot of the work that the Justice Department is currently doing.
Yes.
And that is just,
nailed it.
You know, we've spent a lot of months debating whether or not Donald Trump actually means the things he says about the Department of Justice and the FBI, whether he's actually going to try to really dismantle those organizations in a serious way. I think the selection of Matt Gaetz is a clear indication of how squarely he intends to do that.
Yes, that's right. He does intend to do it. That's why he picked Matt Gaetz. Repercussions are coming. The grift is over. You guys don't get to continue to have things continue on in the old manner that you've been utilizing to install yourselves as permanent people in power. This is the number 2 in the Senate, John Barrasso, saying, yeah, we're going to give him a fair shake. Matt Gaetz is going to get a fair shot at confirmation.
24 hours has been the nomination of Matt Gaetz to be Attorney General. Will he get confirmed?
Well, he'll certainly have a fair hearing, and people will have a chance to vote. What I want to do, and I specifically with this, and you would expect the president to make bold decisions and appointments. Look what happened to the president over the last 4 years. We have seen the Justice Department in this administration weaponized, politicized. They've dragged President Trump through the court repeatedly. You know, nobody should be above the law, but nobody should be the target of the law. And what we've had is President Trump being the target of the law. So when he talks about draining the swamp, it's not just all of Washington, specific the Department of Justice. So this is no surprise that the president has made a bold announcement and decision there. But everyone that he has nominated so far, better than the people that are in there right now.
24.
Absolutely, by about a million miles. We could go down the list, but Merrick Garland, you think that he is not a political person? They tried to say that he was somebody who was like a Supreme Court judge and he's above the fray and all those things. Merrick Garland is a placeholder for an insanely weaponized DOJ that deserves every single thing that they're concerned that Matt Gaetz is going to do to them. Needs to happen. So we're excited for it. Hopefully the senators hold firm and give Matt Gaetz a fair shake. We're going to be here following along as they do. Thank you for subscribing, and we'll see you back here. Now, we're not done yet. We've got more updates on the FBI and Fani land coming up here very soon. Fani Willis busted. Her jails are a horror show. But before we get there, let's talk about the lying FBI. Shocking! The FBI lied about the J6 pipe bomber and the deleted cell phone records, or the corrupted cell phone records that can't give us any information about who this guy was, where he went, how he got there. All very important questions we'd like to get to the bottom of. But now we've got a report from our friends at Just the News telling us that phone companies are disputing the FBI's testimony about the J6 pipe bomber. We remember that there was a letter and a full investigation into this, demanding to know who this pipe bomber was. We got the potato quality camera recordings that were recorded at 1 frame per second that showed about 7 pixels in total on the whole camera. Is that a dude or is that Pac-Man? I don't know. But we couldn't figure it out. Meanwhile, they were able to identify every other J6er's pimple on his left butt cheek to identify them and raid their houses, but they couldn't identify the J6 pipe bomber. Give me a break. Then when they said, well, you gobbled up everybody's cell phone records in this giant technological dragnet, what happened to that guy? We don't know. The data we got from Verizon was corrupted. We can't hear me now. So here's what they sent back on October 16th. This came out from Barry Loudermilk from Georgia. He said, hey, dear Director Wray, I write to you in my capacity as chairman of the Committee on House Administration, which has jurisdiction over the security of the Capitol. I respectfully request that the FBI respond in writing to the following questions, and Loudermilk is going to give us an explanation of this, so we'll get caught up here in a second, but this is the background. Respond in writing to the following questions. Your written responses will assist our committee in conducting a review of the events that happened from January 5th and January 6th and our appropriate oversight of the Capitol complex. Says, in June of 2023, FBI, during a transcribed interview with the House Committee on the Judiciary, Mr. Stephen D'Antuono, the former assistant director in charge at the FBI Washington field office, so the head FBI guy in D.C., he came into Congress and he testified that the FBI received, quote, corrupted data from one of the major cell carrier companies related to the FBI's investigation into the individual who planted 2 explosive devices near the DNC and the RNC on the night of January 5th. Remember, 2 different bombs, 2 different locations. We read through these transcripts here ages ago. Must have been back in 2023 in June when they came out. And we read through them, and we were even saying that D'Antuono sounded like he had no idea what the hell he was talking about. We were kind of shocked about it. Here's a snippet of that. He suggested that, quote, the corrupted data may have contained the identity of the suspect. He told this to Congress. He said, we did a complete geofence. This is FBI agent speaking. We have complete data. Oh, you do? Well, not complete, because there's some data that was corrupted by one of the providers, head FBI from DC. Well, not purposely by them, right? It's just unusual circumstance that we have corrupt data from one of the providers. I'm not sure. I can't remember right now which one, But for that day, which is awful because we don't have that information to search, he's saying. So could it have been that provider? Yeah, with our luck, with this investigation, it probably was, right? That sounds to me like a person who's scrambling to come up with something. Oh, so you have a complete geofence, right? So you have everything? Well, we did. Yeah, we did a complete geofence. We have everything. I mean, not complete though, because there's some data that was corrupted, but they didn't do it on purpose. So don't blame them. It's just weird because we have corrupt data, and I'm not sure, I don't know where it came from, but for one day, it's weird that with our luck, it happened on this one day. Ah, bummer. Sucks, man. Hate that when that happens. Now, as you may know, says Congress, the subcommittee is conducting an investigation into J5 and J6, and the subcommittee is not asking you, FBI, not asking you to comment on any specific suspect or means, method, or sources, so don't give me this ongoing investigation crap. Rather, the subcommittee requests that the FBI provide a response to the FBI agent's claim that the FBI got corrupted data. He said you did. So please provide us written responses to the following questions so that we can review and ensure the safety of the Capitol. Give us this info. I therefore ask you to respond to these questions. 1. Did the FBI receive corrupted or otherwise unusable cellular data returns from one or more carriers in connection with the pipe bomber? Did you get corrupted or unusable data? If so, which providers gave you the corrupted data? Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, Feds R Us, what was it? If so, how was the cellular data transmitted to the FBI? Did they put it on a Dropbox, a hard drive, a file transfer, etc.? Did Hunter Biden put it on his laptop that you guys had? Where did you get it? If so, was any third-party entity involved in transmitting the cellular data to the FBI? So how did it get corrupted since you got it corrupted? If the FBI received corrupted or other unusable cellular data returns, did the FBI inform the cell carriers that provided the corrupt data that the data they got was corrupted or unusable? Did you say, hey, I can't open this file. The Excel spreadsheet is giving me a warning. If so, did the FBI make any attempt at all to obtain an uncorrupted or otherwise usable version of the data? Did you try to get a second file? Please describe in writing the efforts made to retrieve an uncorrupted version of the data. Or did you just say, oh, the file won't open? Oh, well, you want to go to lunch now? Please respond to the questions outlined above no later than October 30th, which has now passed and expired, signed by Barry Loudermilk, chairman from the House committee. So great letter. And there's follow-up on this. So he spoke with Just the News. John Solomon, Stephen Richards, and more, they do great reporting, says that cellular carriers have now responded. And they told Congress they do possess intact phone usage data from the vicinity where the pipe bomber was. What? A pipe bomber? They have the data and the FBI didn't even look into it? Directly disputing FBI testimony that agents couldn't identify a suspect because the phone data was corrupted. Barry Loudermilk's on it. Adds new intrigue to this. Why can't the FBI, with so much evidence and manpower, identify the suspect who put literal bombs, bombs at the DNC and RNC? Now, I think I don't even know if they were operable. They were kind of like a joke, device. I don't know if they would explode or not. I don't think so. But they were bombs, right? This is a terrorist plot. This is an attack on two political entities. It is the biggest thing that happened on January 6th, other than the Capitol Police shooting and killing an unarmed woman. In terms of a prospect for violence, right? Everyone else was there with flagpoles, and the cops were shooting people from the rooftop with projectiles in the face. So interesting that for perhaps the biggest threat that was identified there on that day. No evidence of this guy. They can't find him. And the cell phone companies have the data, but they didn't even bother to look. Loudermilk said, in the days and weeks following J6, the FBI opened an investigation into the pipe bomber and attempted to identify the suspect. They tried to analyze cell phone data linked to areas surrounding the RNC. Now, in June, the former director, Stephen D'Antuono, who oversaw this, he said the FBI got corrupt data. And so my subcommittee, he says, we sent letter to the 3 major cell phone carriers. What's happening with your data? Why is it corrupted, Verizon? Asking them to respond to the claim of corrupted data. Here's what he says. Every major cell carrier responded, and they confirmed they did not provide the FBI with corrupted data. Oh, you're kidding. He says, additionally, every major cell carrier confirmed they were never notified that the FBI had any issues accessing the data. You're kidding. They did go to lunch. This contradictory testimony raises some serious questions about the status of the investigation with the pipe bomber and why the case remains unresolved nearly 4 years later, because they weren't investigating it at all, because it was one of them. Later, last year, D'Antuono told the House Judiciary Committee that the FBI did not receive a complete phone data from the telephone carriers. We read his quote. He says it's just awful. Our luck, with this investigation. Can't believe it. Liar. D'Antuono served as the assistant director in charge. The concerns about the unsolved J6 pipe bombs have been heightened since they showed us that Kamala Harris was taken within 10 yards of the live pipe bombs because our useless Secret Service didn't do a thorough security sweep. She walked right by it. In addition, Loudermilk also provided security camera footage and still photos of the suspect who held the device that lawmakers thought was a cell phone, further making the phone data a case-solving piece of evidence. The guy's on camera with a cell phone. Loudermilk also sent a letter to Wray demanding to know. We read that letter. FBI has declined to comment on this. D'Antuono told Congress his investigators were not able to determine whether the pipe bombs were placed as a diversionary tactic and was unable to recall if they had interviewed a key witness, right? This guy had no idea. He couldn't even recall if they interviewed a key witness, the guy who discovered the pipe bombs. They didn't look into it at all. He gave testimony that pipe bombs were deemed inoperable, despite Quantico coming to a different conclusion. Wow. So D'Antuono said, no, they were inoperable, but Quantico says maybe they could have exploded. At a hearing earlier, Loudermilk reiterated concerns. He says, despite the suspect's appearance on numerous CCTV cameras and the FBI's efforts interviewing over 800 individuals and more than 300 tips, the pipe bomb suspect is still at large. Yeah, right. Unfortunately, someone should see if Liz Cheney knows more about it. Probably does. Unfortunately, FBI has failed to provide substantive updates. Pipe bombs were planted at the DNC and RNC. The footage shows the suspect calmly sitting at the park bench, dropping off the bombs. Despite the bomb's proximity, Secret Service didn't even look. They were unaware. She walked right by it. Turned out to be one of the pipe bombs. So FBI filled with lies. And we read through that whole interview with Steve D'Antuono. It's coming back to me. And it was shocking. They didn't even look into the pipe bomber because it was them. Now, Darren Beatty, who's been doing some amazing work on the J6 investigation, shared this, says the geofencing data that would identify the pipe bomber can be accessed from 3 sources. Here's what we've got. Google, there are private brokers, and there are telecom companies. This report from John Solomon that we just read proves the former FBI head of the pipe bomb investigation lied when he said telecom was corrupted. So not only did the FBI refuse to get the info from Google or private brokers, they had the telecom data all along. It was fine. We know which telecom company too, and we fully expect them to cooperate with the incoming administration, saying, time, we got to move this to the end game on the fake pipe bomb scandal. So that's the FBI. Now, to be fair, the FBI is pretty incompetent, so you can't put that past them. They're incompetent when it comes to actual security. They're fairly competent when it comes to arresting innocent people in their homes. They can do a good job at that. That's not that complicated. But if it's about protecting the homeland, here's this report. They just dropped this one. They said, here's a joint statement from the FBI and CISA saying the PRC is infesting the tubes. Says the government's continued investigation into PRC that's targeting commercial telecoms infrastructure has revealed a broad and significant cyber espionage campaign. So they can't find the pipe bomber and they can't protect the tubes. They say, we have identified a PRC-affiliated actors. They've compromised networks and multiple telecommunications companies to enable theft of customer call records, the compromise of private communications of a limited number of individuals who are involved in government or political activity. So they're gobbling up, the Chinese are gobbling up the phone records from elected officials. And they're copying certain information that was subject to law enforcement requests pursuant to court orders. If you have any concerns about this, let us know. So that's what the FBI is up to. Can't find the pipe bomber, can't protect the tubes from the Chinese. Not looking good there. But we do know that a new administration will be coming in and hopefully correcting the course of the corrupt FBI and bringing the agency back into repute. We're looking forward to it. All right, so that's the J6 FBI stuff, or the pipe bomber stuff. Now, my friends, it's Fani time. And we're turning our attention to Fulton County because Fani is back. The noxious odor in Fulton County continues, not going away without a fight. Fani Willis won her re-election. Now she's saying she's going to continue to prosecute Trump, but she's in some hot water because the DOJ also came out and are telling us that the folks in Fulton County and the Fulton County Jail are violating the Constitution and federal law. Fulton County, obviously a disaster. Fani is the district attorney. She prosecutes a bunch of people there, sends them into these jails, should be responsible for ensuring that there aren't other crimes being committed in those jails over which she has jurisdiction, and not allowing the Constitution and federal law to be violated. We're going to read through this 105-page report that is explaining how horrific things are, and there's photographs in here of some of the conditions that we'll take a look at. You can see people are burning windows into their jail cells. So it's bad. People are dying in her counties, in her jails. The sheriff is not handling it at all. And Fani is very busy focusing on prosecuting Trump. So we'll go through her latest interview and hear how this is explained by her and her office. But the report from Atlanta News says she's moving ahead with charges against President Trump. The biggest Fani in Georgia is not going away easily. We'll see what happens because the case is on appeal. But she says in her second term, after winning, says, I think they see our no-nonsense, tough approach on violent criminals. All right. Says it's a referendum. They want me to continue to do the work. Fulton County has one thing that they want. It's more big Fani. So she's done a bunch of terrible things there, including prosecuting the Young Thug case in a disaster fashion, but she's proud of it. And even more consequential will be her prosecution of Trump. Said these cases become murkier, but there's no exception, and she's going to continue to move forward. As for what Willis plans to do, she didn't give us a solid answer, but she talks about patience. All right, we'll continue to see what happens there. We'll listen to her full interview and see what she says specifically. But here's the report from the DOJ. Fani's jail is a disaster. The county jail violates the 8th and 14th Amendments to the Constitution. Cruel and unusual punishment. And she's sending people in there repeatedly. Merrick Garland's even coming out and talking about it. Merrick Garland said LaShawn Thompson's horrific death was symptomatic of a pattern of dangerous and dehumanizing conditions of the Fulton County Jail, said Merrick Garland. Wow. The Justice Department report concludes that Fulton County and the Sheriff's Office allowed unsafe and unsanitary conditions at the jail. As a result, people incarcerated suffered harms from pest infestation, malnourishment. They were put at substantial risks of harm. There were homicides, stabbings, sexual abuse. These are unconstitutional, unlawful conditions in Fulton County, and they're going to work to remedy these things. We cannot turn a blind eye to this. Maybe Fani should pay some attention to her own backyard before she wastes all of her time and taxpayer dollars on prosecuting Trump and then sleeping with her staff, which is called Nathan Wade, indicting each other repeatedly. So this is the report that shows how horrific this was from the Department of Justice, the Civil Rights Division, focusing on the Northern District of Georgia, the investigation of the Fulton County Jail. A 105-pager. We'll hit some of the highlights, including looking at some of the photos from what it looks like inside there. But here's the background. They say in 2022, September, LaShawn Thompson died alone in a filthy cell in the mental health unit of Fulton County. He had a history of mental illness, was unhoused, was accused at spitting at a police officer, arrested on a simple battery charge, and was held on an old warrant. 3 months after his arrest, he was slumped over with his head in the toilet, malnourished, body was infested with an enormous presence of body lice, and they concluded that he was neglected to death. The guy died in his cell, eaten by lice. There was widespread reporting and outrage, but there was another death several months before Thompson's that never made the news. Another unhoused man with serious mental illness was arrested after breaking into a building to try to get warm. On the mental health unit, he stopped taking his medications, health declined. He died after a seizure, was transported to a hospital but never recovered, died in hospice a month later. 2 more people died. Both men had serious mental health needs. One had a developmental disability. Both were killed by their cellmates. Both were found with their feet bound. One of them was wrapped up in bedding like a mummy. Altogether, these 4 black men with serious mental health needs died in jail in the mental health unit in under a year. 4 dead guys. And they were never sentenced to death at all. But they're dead. In July, we opened a civil rights investigation. Within weeks, 6 more black men had died in the jail. Fani's having dead black men drop dead all over the place. One person was found unresponsive. His cellmate strangled him. A day later, tensions erupted. Within 24 hours, 5 units in the jail saw violent assaults. At least 7 people were stabbed. 1 person was killed. You know, a measure, I think, of an honorable society, you often hear this a lot, is how you treat your elderly, your infirm, and your incarcerated. How do you treat the people that society often throws away? Do you treat them with humanity? Or are they treated like garbage and dirt? And it's not just prisoners. And I know a lot of people, it's kind of, well, they committed a crime, who cares? Well, they didn't deserve death. That wasn't their penalty. They weren't sentenced to be killed. And Fani has dead people all over the place. After an extensive investigation, we find reasonable cause to believe that Fulton County and Fulton County Sheriff's Office violates the Constitution and the statutory rights of people incarcerated in Fulton County Jail. The 8th Amendment is a very important amendment that was written by our founders for a reason. You're not supposed to be like the Count of Monte Cristo and locked away in the Chateau d'If. Fulton County Jail fails to protect incarcerated people from the substantial risk of serious harm. There's homicides, there's stabbings. Assaults are carried out with weapons that are fashioned from jail fixtures. There's photos of this. The jails had inadequate practice for preventing sexual violence. And the guards use force against incarcerated people. Excessive force. Poor policies, poor training, things are not clean, mental health conditions, all sorts of problems. The jail's not providing any special ed services to 17-year-old boys and girls who deserve it. It's a disaster. All right, let's zoom in on it. Now, Georgia, Fulton County has more than 1 million people. It's big. 4 jail buildings, 2% of the jail population, only 2% was serving a criminal sentence. Look at this. Wow. In July of 2024, only 2% of the jail population was serving a criminal sentence. This is incredible. Thus, nearly all of the people held in jail have never been found guilty of anything. We have a presumption of innocence. So 98% of the people are not serving a penalty. They're just being held pending the outcome of their case. Okay, you get arrested. You get arrested for domestic violence. Maybe you didn't do anything, but your spouse just called the cops on you because she thought that's what they do in the movies. That's what they told her to do. It's just an argument or a neighbor calls. You get arrested. You can't post bond because it's a $1,500 bond. You can't get out of custody. So now you're just sitting in jail during pretrial services while your case is pending. And now you're being subject to Fani Willis's cruel and unusual punishment, even though you have a presumption of innocence in this country. They say people spend long periods detained in jail. According to an analysis, nearly a quarter of the population in jail had been in there a year or more. So a year or more pending, not convicted of anything. And this happens a lot, by the way. This is why people talk about having no cash bond. So this does not happen because people are sitting in there, they can't get out, and they're rotting away, getting eaten by lice. We did our own analysis. We identified 245 people who had been in custody for 2 years or more, 14 people who had been in jail for over 5 years, and one who had been there for more than a decade. Like they're not, and these are in jail. They're not serving prison terms. These are jail terms. Their cases are pending, and some of these people might be being charged with homicides. Something like they can't get out because they're deemed to be dangerous, and homicide cases can take years to develop. But many have repeat stays and so on, but that's pretty horrific. So those are some backgrounds on the numbers. They say this is a jail in crisis. In the wake of the deaths, people dropping dead, there was a request for more money. There were resignations. People were resigning after that guy died by getting eaten by lice. They opened their investigation July 2023. They released it right after Fani won her re-election again, of course. They didn't want this coming out before the election. So we've got an explanation of the various complexes. But here's what's happening. They say Fulton County does not adequately protect incarcerated people from risk of violence. They have a duty to make sure that under the 8th Amendment, you're not abused in jail. Your penalty is to serve your time. It's not to get raped, stabbed, and murdered. This jail exposes incarcerated people to extreme violence. There are killings, there are stabbings. In less than 24 hours in August, at least 7 people were stabbed. 1 was killed in August 23. The violence spanned 5 units and 3 floors. It started at 11:30 p.m. Officers discovered that people from one housing zone opened their zone door and went into another zone. The next day, an officer heard screaming coming from the 7th floor. He found one incarcerated person with blood on his shoulder, second incarcerated person in a pool of blood on the floor. That person died from multiple stab wounds. The locking mechanism for the doors was broken. While officers tried to secure the scene, incarcerated people kept trying to assault each other. One incarcerated person had to be treated for exhaustion. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of stabbing. That's a lot of stabbing. Wow. Almost simultaneously, a sergeant found another incarcerated man with blood on his face and chest. The victim required medical transport. An officer tased someone else trying to break up a fight. And they were overwhelmed with stretcher calls. Everybody's bleeding all over the place. Tons of people dying. 23-year-old man died, stabbed multiple times. 37-year-old man died, stabbed, assaulted. 34-year-old man died, strangulated. 32-year-old man, mental health unit, cellmate, beat the hell out of him. He had raccoon eyes, great. And the sign of head trauma, perfect. A 20-year-old man died after being strangled by his cellmate. None of these men should be killed. It's nuts. 33-year-old man died after being stabbed by another incarcerated person. Stab wound between his shoulder and neck and a deep gaping wound above his eyebrow. Insane. This guy says, I had knives put to my throat and I had to call my mom telling them, please wire somebody some money or I'm going to get killed. Nobody should be subject to that at a jail where you're supposed to be waiting to get your day in court. Haven't even been convicted of anything. Presumed innocent. Arrested by corrupt and prosecuted by corrupt Fani. In 2023, the stabbings was 1.5 times the rate of New York City stabbing jails and 27 times the rate of Miami-Dade. So if you're going to be in jail, go to Miami, okay? Less likely to be stabbed there. Here's the rate of stabbing in various jails. Miami-Dade, not that many stabbings. Good numbers there. New York City jails, moderate. Fulton, you're getting stabbed. It's like, hey, welcome to the Fulton County Jail. You know what we have to do. I just got here. Yeah, but that's how we do things. So here it comes. You ready? Here it comes. We also analyze violence at the jail. It's brutal. Let's take a look at some of the photos. So we know it's terrible. And also it's transgenders getting abused. It's bad names, calling people bad names. Also 17-year-olds unprotected from sexual violence. People are getting art all over the place. Not good. It's cruel and unusual. If they're allowing this to happen, they should be this is criminal negligence. Long-lasting trauma, and people are beaten and stabbed. Metal plates slammed in his head, threatening him with fire pokers, threatened to transmit cash apps, money, and more. They don't do anything to address this. It just kind of continues on. Violence all over the place. Now, as we fast forward, we're going to see the physical conditions were also bad. Staffing is terrible. This is the recommended staffing level. They can't hire anybody, so it's total bedlam. And there's poor maintenance, and they get contraband into the facility. Here's what it looks like. During our site visit in one maximum security zone, almost every pipe chase door could not lock, and large pieces of metal easily made into weapons were lying on the floor. The officers escorting us during the site visit appeared unfazed. They didn't even care. Like, oh, those are just knives over there. When one of our expert consultants identified a significant piece of metal found in a pipe chase, an officer said to drop it on the floor of the day room where incarcerated people could easily access it, and that they would get it later. Just drop that over there. What? There's a bunch of inmates there. Just a month before that visit, an incarcerated person used a metal pipe and a long sharpened nail in an attack in which 2 people received serious injuries. Unsecured pipe chases in the jail. Yeah, there you go. So they just come in there and just, I guess, unscrew the pipes. Lots of trash. Looks like that might be a pipe, something there. Leaned up against the wall. Lots of other metallic objects that you could function into shivs. Like that looks like something right there. So they're grabbing the metal and they're creating weapons. Great. Now, Fulton County Jail reported 2,100 man-made sharpened weapons in 23, confiscated 139 weapons. The number of weapons in the jail is much greater than is expected in a correctional facility of its size. For example, in Miami-Dade, they've got an incarcerated population 1.5 times the size. They confiscated only 346 weapons in that location. Okay, so just take a look. 2,100 versus 346 for a jail that's much bigger. Here are some of the shivs that you can see that are being created. Looks like some creative stuff. Yeah, that one's not good at all. Like that's going to do some serious damage there. Yeah, not good. So that's what's happening. Here you can see in August, they identified multiple areas with broken lights, found a bunch of broken fixtures. They began a repair blitz. They were trying to fix doors and things. But in 6 weeks, things are still damaged. And lives are now being threatened. They can't lock the doors. People can break in. Drug use is very common. Significant amounts of drugs are trafficked into the jail. They uncovered 400 ecstasy pills, marijuana, Percocet, 10 cell phones, digital scale. They're selling stuff. During a site inspection, they found people high on fentanyl. Drug use in jail includes the use of strips, pieces of paper soaked in chemicals that are smoked for a narcotic effect. And they get into debt. There's a whole drug trade inside the jails. They also were burning holes in the windows. When we inspected the jail, window holes were visible from the parking lot. Security staff seemed to be aware of the issue, but still housed people in the cells with holes in the windows. All right, so like they burned holes and chiseled out holes in the windows, which not supposed to look like that. Corrupt staff are also a significant source of the contraband. Multiple staff members have been arrested for trafficking drugs. 4 private security officers working in the jail were arrested. We were told that people were not screened when they came in from certain locations, so they can bring in whatever they want. The jail doesn't identify or address any violence. The grievance coordinator admitted that most grievances raise safety concerns. One homicide victim, this guy got killed. He complained 13 times in August. These people are going to kill me. They didn't do anything, and now he's dead. In 5 of these grievances, he reported experiencing violence from other people. Before he died, he reported that officers were trying to move him to a more dangerous location because he reported the officers for misconduct. They said, okay, great. He explained that moving him was dangerous because he had issues with people on multiple floors. Didn't respond until a month later. Dude's dead. So grievances are not responded to. The jail has a poor process for reporting things, and it just gets worse and worse. So it's a disaster. Let's see if there's any more juiciness. Here is a drain inside a padded cell, so water will not drain. Leaks in pipes are also problems. Here's what the toilets look like. Toilet and sink in a unit cell. So that's what the kind of conditions you're living in. Here's another one. Panels ripped off the walls. Exposed wires in the housing area. Rough. Poor parasite and pest control. Lice everywhere. 2 incarcerated people had active lice infestations. The barber cart moves around and they just clip. They don't actually even clean the trimmers. Cockroaches everywhere throughout the jail. They saw cockroaches in housing units. Many cases of bed bugs. Rodents everywhere. Pests infesting everything. No chemical control. 90% of the people living there were significantly malnourished with obvious muscle wasting. Look at that. 90% of the people are dying in front of you, starving to death. It's horrific. Not providing adequate mental health or medical care, and the horrors just go on and on and on. But the good news is Fani Willis is working on Donald Trump. She's very excited about that. So there are crimes being committed here at scale. And fortunately, the DOJ came out and wrote a report about it. We'll see if anything happens. But meanwhile, Fani Willis has won her re-election. The people of Georgia think she's doing a tremendous job. And she's promising what the future will look like will include prosecutions of the president. Here is her interview.
DA Fani Willis says some of the biggest accomplishments of her first term happened outside of the courtroom. Her team cleared a decade's worth of backlogged cases, 18,000 of them, some dating back to 2014. She started a pre-indictment diversion program that already has seen 300 people graduate with no jail time, and the DA's mentorship program is now working with 500 kids in 20 local schools.
I'm really proud of our first term.
You didn't explain in that little highlight reel all the dead people who have died in her jails.
In office, and I say we because it's definitely been a team effort. The first thing that I did is amazing is I put together a team of dedicated professionals. I think the best in the business.
Like her lover, Nathan Wade.
Anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
And that was the first step.
She paid him $700,000.
The second thing that we did
and slept with him a ton.
Just really
probably during
helpful
office
to
hours,
the community and to the citizens is when we got here, there were more than 18,000 cases unindicted. Those cases went back from 2014 through 2020. We were able to clear up all of those cases,
how'd you do it?
Either in indicting them or dismissing them, but certainly moving on with them.
Oh, great. So you dismissed a bunch of cases and you didn't take any action on them. You indicted a couple of them and you say you cleared 18,000. This is like if you go into your email inbox, if you have 18,000 emails in your inbox and you just click all of them and you delete them all, you just say, wow, I really did a great job on that. What'd you do today? I got through 20,000 emails. You did. Did you read any of them? No. So she dismissed a bunch of stuff and she'll celebrate it. Great.
The thing that I am happiest about is our REACH program, where in our inaugural year, we went into 6 schools and we touched 150 children. Well, we're now up to 20 schools and we have over 500 children that we're servicing. And it's an entire year program to keep people out of gangs and keep children, middle schoolers and high schools out of gangs, and just showing them anger management and resolutions that don't get you in the criminal justice system.
Kids, don't be like Fani Willis, okay? She's not a good role model. Not good.
And then probably the last big accomplishment is the diversion program. There was no pre-indictment diversion. We've now graduated more than 300 people. We've had 700 people enroll. And then let's talk about crime reduction. All of these strategies and our tough on crime, violent crime especially, have made crime go down. Violent crime is down more than 20%. So I'm extremely proud of the first 4 years. But when I came here, I was on a 12-year plan. And so I continue to be on that 12-year plan, and we have really big plans for term 2.
Well, let's talk about it. What does the middle 4 years of this plan look like for you?
Well, the middle plan looks like some dreams come true. One of the things that I want to do is we want to have a family violence center. And what that is that's for domestic violence victims. Our domestic violence victims, so they can get all the services that they need. I also want a domestic violence court because I need judges that are trained on how to deal with domestic violence victims. We know the reality is most DV victims go back 7 times because it's not a
want to see if we get any Trump business
of gangs, so that we can keep crime at a minimum here in Fulton County.
Yeah, well, let me kind of go right off of that. And one of the hallmark cases of your first term was the YSL RICO case. A lot of big developments in that since the last time we talked. Obviously,
your prosecutors embarrassed themselves and
took a plea deal.
The justice system.
You've been working so hard on this case. It took a long time to put together, and it's taken a long time to get to this point. Were you happy with the outcome? Do you think that Judge Whitaker made the right decision?
You know, it's funny. I think the public still needs an educational point on YSL.
Wow.
YSL was a RICO indictment with 28 defendants. At this point, 14 of those defendants have been disposed.
The people,
1 was
idiots.
dismissed,
Dumb
and
people.
13 have taken pleas, which means they've taken responsibility for their crimes. But we still have 14 defendants that have to finish their justice, and so it limits what I can say about it. But what I can tell you is the approach of that indictment, the approach will stay the same as we enter into the second term.
Yeah.
But a few criminal cases dominated the headlines in her first 4 years, none more so than her prosecution of Donald Trump and some of his allies for election crimes in Georgia. The future of Trump's case becomes murkier after Trump's re-election. A Supreme Court ruling earlier this year made it tougher to prosecute presidents for things they do on the job. Willis indicated she still plans to pursue charges against Trump.
The other big hallmark case, obviously, is still also ongoing, so tell me what you can about it. But, with the re-election of now President-elect Donald Trump, he was also at the center of the election indictment. What do you do now? Because we've got this Supreme Court precedent now that says sitting presidents really can't be charged for some of the things that they did in office. With him now having the protection of the White House, how do you proceed as it relates to just his portion of this case?
I'm not going to talk to you about a case. Let me talk to you about a young lawyer and a lawyer that's got a little age on her. When I became a lawyer, I believe that all the smartest people were the judges, right? That's who rose to the top. I've been a little disheartened as I've gone on to practice law. But what I can tell you about me as a district attorney, I didn't indict anyone who I did not believe committed a crime in any case. And all of our more serious felony cases were indicted because a grand jury decided that there was enough evidence there to indict them. And so it is our plan, if someone has an indictment in this office, no matter who they are, we continue to pursue those charges. I can't be responsible for what judges and what
churches you
will
speak
do.
at? What was that?
That will be decisions that they make. But I hope we get to see a little courage in leaders, and that young lawyer from 30 years ago will continue to believe in the judicial system, because we'll see courageous decisions.
Yeah, and you mentioned no matter...
What is she talking about? Courageous decisions about what? she should have been thrown off this case and sanctioned for lying to Judge McAfee in her court. That would have been a legitimate decision. Judge McAfee weaned out and allowed her to stay on the case. Is that what she's complaining about? Fani is lucky she's not disbarred for her dishonesty, for her ethical conflicts, for her lies in court, for her cover-up. And she wants more out of this. Georgia gave her everything on a silver platter because they're all scared of Big Fani for whatever reason.
Who it is, what about no matter how long it takes? Is that something that you think about too?
I'm patient. That's what age teaches you is patience. I've been patient in the way we do our work. And that goes back to those indictments we talked about when we first started. It was very frustrating, right? You want to get through this backlog, you want to do everything, but you cannot do the work at the risk of not looking at the facts, not looking at the evidence. And so we've patiently plowed through, and we will continue to patiently plow through to seek justice. And
a lot of plowing through going on in Fulton County.
I'm here for 8 more years is my plan. And so if that's what it takes for us to get justice in some cases, we come to work every day. We'll come to work and look for justice.
Yeah. Some of the things that you mentioned, the diversion programs, the clearing out of these backlogged cases, you collected a very healthy amount of the vote tally when you were reelected. Did you view that as kind of a referendum from the taxpayers of Fulton County on
more
the job
noxious
that
odor
you did in your first term and on what they hope for you to do in the second term?
Well, let's be honest. In the primary election, I won 87% of the vote. That's 90. And of course, that was only Democrats voting. But of course, that was a referendum. And then we live in a very diverse community, one that is 35% Republican. It's about 65% Democrat. And I won close to 69% of the vote. I think the community sees us. I think they see all of our community activities. I think they see our no-nonsense, tough approach on violent criminals. And I think it is a referendum that they want me to continue to do the work.
They do.
And that's exactly what me and the team that I've comprised.
They do. Fulton County has one thing in mind. They just want more Fani Willis. Noxious odor for them, even though Fani Willis has a bunch of black men, apparently, according to the DOJ, dropping dead in her jails. But the news will continue to salivate over her. Oh, she's doing a diversion program. Great job. People are dropping dead in her jails who are presumed innocent, who've never been convicted of anything. And they just reelected her. Our corrupt DOJ, of course, saved this one until after the election, publishing this one on November 14th after she won. And more dead people surely will show up in Georgia. Great job, Fani. All right, my friends. It's been a beautiful stream. If you're just joining us, we had some great news. We started out the day with a quick update. RFK Jr., baby, is going to Health and Human Services. I think he's going to get confirmed, and I think he's going to make America healthy again. And we're all going to be fit and jacked, baby. It's going to be great. Biceps are getting bigger. Shirts are getting smaller. We're broing out. It's going to be great. All right, so that is happening. We also had some major victories for some of our J6 friends, including Free State Will, and updates as judges are continuing the trial dates, meaning the trials are not happening anytime soon, presumably. We also then had an update on the FBI lying about the pipe bomb cell phone data. They said it was corrupted. We can look at it. Turns out it wasn't corrupted at all. The telecom companies said, no, we have it. Yeah, it's right here. You want to see a copy of it? Here it is. So we talked about that. And then we went to Fani Land. And we saw that Fani is going to continue her prosecution of Trump, even though she's got people dropping dead all over the place in her jails. And now, my friends, it's time to hear from you. And I'm also seeing some breaking news courtesy of our friends on Locals. Todd Blanche is going to be deputy AG. Get the heck out of here. Whoa, shout out to Todd. Todd Blanche, Trump's defense attorney, has been working his booty off, is now announced as the deputy AG. Incredible. This is going to be so fun. Todd Blanche is an excellent attorney. He'll be a crucial leader in the DOJ. Do you know how many motions from Todd Blanche we've read? A ton. Todd prosecuted gangs and other federal... He's a good dude, actually. Clerked for two federal judges with honors. He's also announcing Emil Bove. Let's go. Yeah, Emil. Hey, what's up? Will serve as the principal associate deputy AG in my administration. These guys have been defending Trump for the last several years. Several years. We've read so many of their filings. How many times have we said that? They're going into the DOJ. Oh, I'm not going to get tired of winning. I'm not going to. I'm not. I'm animated, baby. Emil prosecuted terrorist, international drug traffickers, was there at the SDNY. He's going to make us proud together as we make America great again. So, woo! That's amazing. So, some fellow defense attorneys going into the DOJ. That's going to be just outstanding. I couldn't be more excited. All right. They've been defending Trump for a long time. They'll know exactly what's cooking. They know the cases as well as anybody in the country. They were Trump's literal lawyers. Incredible. All right, my friends, let's hear from you. Let's see what you say about this. It's a beautiful Thursday. We got some amazing donos and some great comments. Thank you for sending these in. Here's one from John McGarvey. Hold on, almost there. Happy Thursday. Just sit there and we'll make it to Friday. Kitty is ready for the weekend. Hey, Viva MAGA over on Local says, Rob, I received a phone call this morning from the one and only Mama G, my mama, personally thanking me for my donation to Eric's house. This is in addition to already sending a thank you card. That, my friend, is how an organization should be ran. I'm so glad to be a watcher. Thank you, Viva, and part of the amazing Eric's House community. Hashtag blessed. Thank you, Viva MAGA. My mama is amazing. She does great work at Eric's House, as do all the people over there. ericshouse.org. It's a nonprofit, 501c3. It's dedicated to helping people who've lost a loved one due to suicide, overdose, or other tragic death. Great support, great community events, and they're doing really good work. And Viva, thank you for donating and supporting Eric's House. Love it. Hey, Former says, President-elect Trump is a political genius. By nominating the AG and the SecDef, he has forced their hand and making Republicans commit to supporting his vision or not. Good to see you, Former. Glocky saying, this is wild. Elon Musk meets with Iran's UN ambassador on diffusing tensions with the U.S. Wow, that's according to the New York Times. That's pretty interesting. Hey, this one from Glocky says, Omar is in love with the new AG. Looking at that Matt Gaetz booty. This old guy says, it's Thursday, November 14th, 2024, and I'm still smiling. I know this old guy. It's like, you kind of, anybody else when you get out of bed in the morning, you're now doing the Irish jig in the morning as soon as you wake up? That's how excited you are? Yeah, I don't know where it came from. I'm not even Irish. Glocky says, this is why the establishment is terrified of an outsider becoming the head of the DOJ. Elizabeth Warren, she's worth $285 million. What? 285 million? Are you serious? Oh, wait, no. Net worth is 67 million. Sorry, I was reading. What does she do? Where'd she get all that money? That's a lot. I thought she was like a professor or something. Hey, Leonard says, dismiss all J6 charges that did not involve someone getting physically injured. Yeah, that's a great place to start, Leonard. Anybody who's nonviolent, automatic. Don't even have to think twice about that one. Kathy Trout, what's up, Kathy? The Salty Stoner, Ohio got gifted a membo, courtesy of Kathy Trout. Thank you, Kathy, for being a membo and bringing in new membos. Hey, Lenny Malley, reminding everybody to like this video, share this video, and subscribe harder than you've ever subscribed before. Tony Hay Munkets, what's up, Tony Hay? Bringing in 5 membos. Kilroy was here, is coming in. Becky C, welcome. Christine, hello. Renee and Eddie Van Zant, gifted membos in the house. Thank you, Tony Hay. We got Glocky says, breaking news, Trump has picked his former SEC chair to take over the Southern District of New York. Interesting. I don't know that guy, Jay Clayton, but that sounds interesting. SDNY's a disaster too. Hey, More Here is here. What's up, More Here? Bringing in 5 more here. Flowers in Her Hair is a new membo. Candid Eaton, welcome. Michelle, Celadee, and Krista Copley, gifted membos. Thank you, More Here, for bringing in 5 more here. Spud says current Rensselaer County Executive Steve McLaughlin, who had a run-on with Tisch and won, could run for a Lee Stefanik seat. Steve could help the House investigate. Tisch should be investigated. Hey, Mary M. What's up, Mary? Thank you for this nice dono. Says Steve Baker pled guilty in his plea this week. They were threatening much worse. He has not been sentenced yet. I am really disappointed by it, but I understand. Trump cannot start too soon. Yeah. I saw that, Mary. And then if you missed it yesterday, I think it was yesterday's show, we read through Steve Baker's motion to continue. And we read through the Justice Department's reply to them. So yeah, he did plead guilty. Or actually, was that Baker's case? I might be mixing cases up, but we read somebody's case yesterday where the DOJ responded and said that the sentencing or any upcoming dates should be postponed. I might have my lines crossed on this one. But yeah, the point is, Baker should not be sentenced. He should be pardoned along with the rest of the J6ers. All charges should be dropped and returned to normalcy. He was a journalist there. The other lefty journos were not indicted because they were there reporting. Baker especially was, I think, singled out for reporting on the wrong side. Thank you, Miriam, for the nice dono. Hey, John Brennan is completely melting down, says Glocky. This old guy says, well, the FBI hired Peter Strzok, so there's that. They did. Yeah, and he was an anti-Trump maniac. Openly. And they protected him for a long time. Glocky says, it's kind of funny hearing McCabe say stuff about security clearances when POTUS can grant or pull security clearances because the authority belongs to POTUS. So Trump can just give everybody a clearance if he wants them there. Hey, it's Bill Robb in the house. What's up, Bill? Bringing in Mrs. Smith. Thank you, Bill. Benny Boys here. Lily Smith, Damo, and Tyler Lees. Gifted membo. It's courtesy of Bill Robb. Thank you, Bill Robb, for being a membo and bringing in new friends. We got Rocky Water says, cheers to Barry Loudermilk. Thanks as always, Rob. Great stuff as always. These are great days for show content. It's fun. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff happening. A lot of activity. And it's like I have a whole show prepped. And then right before we sit down, Trump's like, oh, guess who's going to be the new Health and Human Services Director? I'm like, Trump? Yesterday before we started the show, he's like, guess who's going to be the new AG? Matt Gaetz. I'm like, Trump? I love it. But it's like never-ending fire hose of winning. We're not going to get tired of it. A bad poet says, McCabe just made the new MAGA ad. Go, go, Gadget Gaetz. Go, go, Gadget Gaetz. I like it. Hey, Matt Green, 9 months as a membo. Thank you, Matt. That's full term. Hey, Rob, thank you for everything you do. You are the GOAT. I don't know about that, Matt, but I appreciate the endorsement. There's a lot of goats out there. But Matt, thanks for being a membo, brother, for 9 months. We appreciate you being here and supporting us. Glad to have you. Ollie is bringing in one membo. Cougar Tracks is coming in. Former says, this one just dropped, and that's the announcement of Jay Clayton, who's going to be leading up the Southern District of New York. That's very curious. Have to look into him. Thank you. Cheryl says, I knew the data corruption story was BS from the start. I ran IT ops for one of the major telecoms. They have the most secure data management and multimedia backups. Unrecoverable corruption is highly rare. Yeah. Cheryl, thanks for confirming that for us. Obviously, I don't have any of that experience, but even when we read the Steve D'Antuono, it read like a guy was backpedaling. No, we don't have any corrupted. Total nonsense. And now we know that the FBI didn't even follow up on that. Right? So what are they covering up is where this goes. What is in the data? Who does it point to? Hopefully we get to the bottom of it because we know they've got copies. Thank you, Cheryl. Londo says Fulton County is the only county in America where that is a great, well, I don't know if that's accurate or not, but where pests are greater problems than fentanyl, maybe. Bill, what's up, Bill? Says 10 membos are coming in. Bill, Rob, thank you, Bill, for bringing in even more friends. Texas Ditch Doctor, Miata Mama, Jokin Plays Games. What's up, Mike Lacey? Big Papa Sims, Steve O, Celia Frostborn, Barbara Walsh, Alexis North, and Howie Brown. Gifted membos courtesy of Bill Robb. Thank you, Bill Robb, for bringing in 10 new friends. Here's one from this old guy. Says 98% of them are waiting for a court date while Fani draws out cases like Young Thugs and election interference cases and ties up the court with BS. Fani should have to sleep in that jail until it gets fixed. Love that. Yeah, maybe she'll... What is it? Reap what you sow. Reap what you sow. That's that, right? Villa Plot says, Rob, you need to start streaming Watching the Watchers on your True Social account. Can you do that? Does Truth have live streaming? Is that new? Is that new? Knox Bierman says, happy Thursday, all. Sadly, Harris Co. Jail, Houston, total blue, in Texas, there are plenty of stabbings, rapes, assaults, as well as a total lack of medical supplies like colonoscopy bags. We are as bad as Fannytown. Is that right? In Houston? Yeah, it's not like that here in Arizona. I mean, it's not great in Arizona, but it's not like what we saw in Fannyland. At least when I was practicing as of a couple of years ago. So thanks, Knox. I'm sorry to hear that. It's not right. We should care about our incarcerated. They're innocent until proven guilty. They shouldn't be treated like dirt. Thank you, Knox. Harris Co. has to ship inmates out every weekend due to overcrowding. They end up in Mississippi and Louisiana, however. The jail is not filthy, and my clients usually gain weight in custody as they stop smoking meth. Well, that's a good positive, Knox. Once they move, do they still get meth in Harris Co.? Sounds like they got a lot of drugs there in Fannyland, so... Well, that's good. Meth is not good for your body. Bill Robb says, Fanny, when I became a real boy, unlike Jack, Fanny, she had a lot of interesting phrasing in that one. Touching the kids and getting plowed. Fani Willis wants to touch more children, and she likes plowing through things. Okay. Hey, 18 months as a membo, Brandon Lesko. That's 2 babies. They said 2 men can't make babies, but we did it, Rob. We did it. We did it. Yeah, you're right. We did. We got 2 babies here. 2 full-term children in the house. Thank you, Brandon Lesko. We did it, Joe. Dear Emily says, was this the same jail that Nathan Wade investigated and didn't take any notes? Yeah, remember he had all of it in his brain, all of his case files right in here. It's like that guy in that meme, you know? Rob, this stream today is crazy. My blood is boiling. Free the J6ers. Yeah, and their conditions aren't great either, right? And there's been reports about our poor J6ers who have been held in custody facing a lot of that same stuff. Free the J6ers. Yeah. I'm with you on that, dear Emily. It's not right, man. You have to think about, and a lot of people will agree with you on, a measure of a good society is the ill, the infirm, the elderly, right? The people that have the diseased, that everybody goes, oh, gross, oh, you're deformed or something. Or it's the criminals. You're a criminal. Nobody cares about you. Or some societies don't have a reverence for old people. I have a tremendous reverence for the elderly. But other people don't. They just treat old people like dirt. Oh, get out of my way, old timer. Stuff like that. I think that's not appropriate. So we should also care about the people who can't care for themselves. We have a responsibility to care for them. And if we are putting them in custody and incarcerating them, we have a responsibility to make sure they're not eaten to death by lice or stabbed and raped. It's horrific. But we've got some work to do on that in that regard. Jennifer says, hey, thanks for another great show, Robert. Thank you, Jennifer, for being a membo for 22 months. We appreciate it, Jennifer. Thanks for being here. It's been a heck of a ride, hasn't it? And we're winning now. Knox says 700 people enrolled in Fanny's pretrial diversion and only 300 graduated. That's horrible. You're right. That's like an F. Did she say that? I didn't even catch those numbers, but that's pretty bad. Only 300 graduated. So that means they reinstated charges for 400 or what? That is terrible. I didn't even catch that, Knox. Glad you did. Chubby says, no need to attack me on how I handle my emails, Rob. At least I click mark as read before delete. Mark as read before I delete it. I read it, technically. Didn't actually open the email, but I marked it as read and deleted. Hey, sometimes you have to do it, Chubby. Sometimes you have to declare email bankruptcy. You have to. Sometimes you have to. I mean, I'm working on it. I'm still backed up on some emails, but most of the people that I'm backed up on the emails, I've already spoken to. You know, it's like I know Rai T and others. What's up, guys? But we talk to each other every day. So anyways, so what's up, Chubby? Yeah, sometimes you do have to declare email bankruptcy, but that's not when you're a prosecutor. You don't just get to declare case backlog bankruptcy. Select all, delete. No. Hey, Bill Robb is here. What is this gif? Oh no. What is this? I don't know what that is. All right, Bill Robb, what's up? 5 membos here. Mountain Cat, Corporal, U.S. Marine Corps retired. Welcome, sir. Thank you. We've got Murdad Mazari, Sue Colbert, Enoch J, Nicholas H, MB, The Mangeese, Boston Dottie of IG, and Colby Newlick gifted membos in the house. That was Mr. Bill? This is Mr. Bill? Who is this creature? Oh, no. I don't know who that is, but it's funny. Knox says, my AARP crush is going to Health and Human Services, and my fellow defense attorneys get their chance to tear up the DOJ. Not tired of winning, says Knox Bierman. Hey, man. Yeah, RFK Jr., he's looking good. He's all jacked up. We're all going to be on testosterone and HGH. We're all going to be doing pull-ups now on Muscle Beach in California with RFK Jr., baby. And Trump's defense attorneys are going to be in charge of the DOJ. Oh, man, I might just go skipping outside tonight. That's how excited I am. One old guy says, Fani, continuing to go after presidential-elect, clearly unconstitutional, doing a Kamala story, telling a nonsensical answer. The smugness is sick. The smugness is sick from one old guy. Hey, Uncle Bozy says, Rob, I seriously would like to see Carrie Lake head up Trump's new DEI agency, the Department of Election Integrity. Oh, that would be hilarious to watch that happen. We'll see what Carrie Lake does. We played a video of her this morning on our members only stream that we will release as a segment later. But yeah, we'll see what Carrie Lake does. It's been a bummer that Arizona hasn't been able to figure out how to get her into some sort of leadership position because it's a real missed opportunity. Hey, Trisha Blankenship. Welcome, Trisha. Thanks for becoming a membo. Grab the members only stream from this morning. New membos. Tony Hey Munkett says, hey, Just Rhonda, paging Just Rhonda. We need a Matt Gaetz emoji. It's a good call. We're going to need a bunch of new cabinet emojis. You're right. Thank you, Tony Hey. Hey, Goofy for Jesus says, Pelosi admits Trump won 2020 and can't serve a third term. They're like, uh-oh, no, sorry. You won last time. Well, but you didn't let me have the White House. Well, that's your fault. You should have objected. You should have made your point back in 2020. So now you can't have it. B.H. Williams says, have to agree with Cheryl. I work with telecom carriers and other service providers, and I know what lengths they go to preserve data going back years. That's from BH. And this old guy too. Man, we got some IT technological folks here. This old guy says, I agree with Cheryl. I've worked with telecom data for all the major carriers for over 30 years, and they don't lose or corrupt data. They're in the data business. That's the whole point. That's all they do is transmit data and log it and bill people for it. That's their whole business. So they didn't corrupt anything. It was always a lie. Tanya Karras says Doug Collins has been chosen for Veterans Affairs. It's like the floodgates are opening. Okay, Doug Collins. All right, we'll have to keep our tabs on that. I'm not sure who that is or the significance of that, but we'll look into it. We'll see what some of the latest is on the morning stream, Tanya. Thank you for the nice dono. Happy Thursday to you, Tanya. Hey, what's up? Don Goff says is a new supporter. Welcome aboard, Don Goff. We'll see you on the Membo streams. V is Never Silent says, happy Thursday, Rob. Thanks for everything you do. Watchers winning. Thank you. Thank you, V. Thanks for being a locals membo and supporting us. Ollie is bringing in one new friend. Baha is coming in. Welcome aboard, Baha. And Miracles in God. also became a supporter. It's great to see everybody. New YouTube members, make sure if you want to join us on Telegram, you grab the Telegram members only link. It's in the community tab section on YouTube, and we'll see you there. We also want to say what's up to our friends on X before we head on over to Locals for our members only after party and say hello to our friends over there. Here's where we are on X. Hey, Fred Pedamonte says, interesting that Fulton County Jail not too long ago, there was a major investigation into the jail by none other than Nathan Wade. Was that him? He did that county? He didn't take any notes, though. Good to see you, Fred. Robert the Great says, Rob, please check your inbox for a message that I had sent to you on November 11th regarding a picture of you from Tucker. All right, let's see. Is it in the DMs here on X? Let's see where this might have come in. Did you send it to me in an email? Oh, here it is. Let's see. Yes, you can send it. Yes. Okay. So sure. Yeah. Sorry. You didn't show up in my official DM inbox, which I'm terrible about anyways. But okay, I responded to you. So if you want to send me a pic, feel free to do that. Hey, thanks, Robert. Good to see you. George says, hey, look familiar? Yes, looks very familiar. Looks like 2020 all over again. Great. Good to see you on that one. Hey, Brad in the house. What's up, Brad? Dave Roybal. Oh, I know, Dave. Did you see this? Alina Abba is not going to be the press secretary. She says, well, I'm flattered by the support and the speculation. The role of press secretary is not a role I'm considering. Although I love screaming from a podium, I'll be better served in other capacities. This administration is going to be epic. So proud of the Trump team, the latest appointments, and 47. And I think that's probably a good play. Alina Abba will be very well served elsewhere. And having her as the press secretary would probably be terrible for my romantic relationship. All right, Spuds, what's up? Spuds is over on Locals. And so we've got that. Let's see who else is on X. Yes, no, Alina Abba, which has ups and downs, pros and cons. What's up, Rob? Good to see you. Brandy Coffee says, hey, would you look into what's happening with the Danny Penny trial? Yeah, Daniel Penny. Yeah, is he in the middle of trial? I did see some good stuff on that. I mean, I hope he gets acquitted. That case is rigged. Hey, Maynard, AOC admits illegals voted and she's in contact with undocumented voters and some other good stuff happening on X. My friends, thanks for that. Here's one. Two faces of joy. Not so joyous anymore. Not at all. Good to see you, Rob. And my friends, thanks for those comments on X. Great to see everybody over there. We got some other donos come in. Hey, what's up? Discuss McCabe. Discuss McCabe became a new supporter. We'll see you on Telegram and on the members only stream. Milo Phone Bill says Fanny's daughter was driving on a suspended driver's license. Did they take her to that Fulton County hellhole? Good question, Milo. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, they impounded her car, charged her with a crime. Did they book her in? I don't think so. Hey, this one from Tony Hey Munkets says, seriously, it's going to be so much fun when Matt Gaetz goes up against the Senate to be approved to be the AG. We will get rid of the rest of the rhinos in a primary. Exactly. Yeah, we'll see what senators voted for Attorney General Merrick Garland, but won't vote for Attorney General Matt Gaetz. What Republican senators, there were 70 of them who voted for Garland. Why won't they vote for Gaetz? We'll see what happens, so there better be enough. Hey, is this the pick? There's your boy at Genius Network. That was me in the crowd in Genius. That's where Tucker was speaking, Jordan Peterson, and RFK Jr. were speaking. And you can see right there is your boy bootlegging the video for our membos. Bootlegging the videos for our membos. Caught on camera. Busted. We all got to eat it, man. We get busted. I got busted. Anyways, I didn't realize they were going to publish the full videos. and they have done that now. So my bootleg recording wasn't very useful since it's much better using the real cameras in the room. But I was excited. I was really excited to be there. So that was me. Anyways, that's your boy. All right, so it was a ton of fun. Bodie says Carrie Lake for press secretary. And here's Bill. Oh, no. Here, Bill, what's up? Bringing in 10 membos. What's up, Bill? Thank you, Bill Rob. Clifford Williams, Matthew Harris, Elaine Blagg, Dusty Storm. We got Kocher Leotards, Nastasia Filipova, Chornaya in the house. Welcome. Tam Tam, what's up? Harry Bishop, Don Goff. We got Travis Finch, Mick Bradley, and Hanzo in the house. Gifted membos courtesy of Bill Rob in the house. And Uncle Bozy says, Rob, I truly would love to see you named for a position in this administration. That's really a fun idea, Uncle Bozy. What could I do? What could I do? The one position, Matt Gaetz could put me in charge of the Office of January 6 Affairs. Like I said, I just need 5 minutes. That's it. Just one day. Just give me one day. I'll resign after one day. That's all I need. One day. We'll see. We'll see. Someone tell Matt Gaetz he needs a hatchet man to come in, take care of business. I'm your boy. I'll be called to serve. All right. So thank you, Uncle Bozy, for the endorsement. Yeah, we'll bring a whole crew. I'm going to need a bunch of assistants, which will be you, obviously. We taken over now, baby. All right. So my friends, it has been an amazing stream. Thanks for having us here into your lives. Yeah, we can live stream the White House. We'll be the official live streamer. I'm down for it. I'm down for it. All right. So my friends, it's been a ton of fun. Thanks for hanging with us. Thanks for the comments, the donos, the super chats, for subscribing, for sharing the show, for being friends, and for having a ton of fun here with us. We are going to leave it there on the day. Of course, we're going over to locals. We're going to debrief over there tomorrow. We are going to come back here. We want to thank our mods, K Bean. What's up, Playing Hooky? We got Donut. We got John McGarvey, all clipping away for us. Very grateful for our incredible mods. What's up, Playing Hooky? My friends, that's where we're going to leave it on the day. We are going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We'd love to have you become a member and join us over there. But if not, well, we are going to be back here tomorrow. And we're going to get into it again. It's going to be Friday. And in order to do that, we're going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.